Hey, everybody, welcome to Monday, welcome to February, and welcome to an all new episode of Faux Real. On this awesome episode, I welcome actor and my very good friend, Darlene Dues, who you've seen in Orange is the New Black, The Path on Hulu, and a whole slew of amazing projects. And you're going to be seeing her a lot more in the coming year and years to come. I can't wait for you to hear our excellent conversation. Before we jump into the episode, I'd like to give a big shout out to the team over at Toluca Cup, a really cool little new coffee place in North Hollywood. They're at 11028 Landale Street. And the team over there is just really the nicest, and they'll make you whatever you like. Even North Hollywood's own Mandalorian, Tim Bremer, has stopped by a number of times, and they just make a really good cup. So go check them out. That's Toluca Cup, and tell them Devlin from the Faux Real podcast sent you. And now, without further ado, on with the show with my awesome guest, Darlene Dues. It looks great. You look great.
Do you like this? Because the first one I tried, I was like, no, this is a fail, an epic wig fail.
Listen, I know you're trying out a whole wardrobe of wigs, but what about just going au natural?
I thought about cutting all my hair off and starting completely over. Like cutting it off. And I still may do this. I still may do it.
I think you'd look really hot bald. Honestly, listen, Dee Dee, I don't.
You're not the first person to say that they think I can pull it off.
Listen, I will flirt with you a lot more off air, but I think you look absolutely amazing. I know I've said this to you a number of times over the past year and a half, but you look better than you've ever looked before, and that is so much in part to all of the work that you've done on yourself and all of the you just don't stop. You never stop. And you weren't feeling good with how you felt. You weren't feeling good with how you looked. You said something's got to change, and you changed it. And I know it's a lot of hard work. I want to get into all of this. I want to get into every aspect, because I want to hear all about your journey with your routine, I know you talked about it on the podcast you were just on, but my listeners haven't heard the story, and I definitely want to hear all about it. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And okay, actually, let me make sure. Okay. Yes. Okay, great. I just, got to make sure all the random buttons are pressed, so everything is recording, because I don't want to miss a moment of this. Dee Dee, we have been friends for, a long time. 30 plus years at this point. We went to high school together, and you and Dustin are the two friends of mine that I've kept in touch with the longest. You're my longest friends, and I've watched you bloom from a super intelligent student to just a powerhouse actress, and now you're doing all these incredible other things in your life and starting these programs, and I have a feeling that you're probably going to write a book about them sooner or later, because I definitely want to read that. So first of all, tell me about your journey of weight loss and how that.
Oh, goodness. I'm trying to think how to summarize this so it doesn't take up too much of your time.
We have all the time. I'm here for you.
Basically, I was at the lowest point of my life. I was in my mid 30s at the time, and I was in a relationship going on, I guess it was about 4 years. And the acting just kind of died out for me. It wasn't that I wasn't submitting or that my agent wasn't submitting myself, because as an actress, we know when you're not an A-lister, you still need to submit yourself for work as well as your
Yep,
agent.
you sure do.
And so I was submitting for work, but I wasn't booking anything. And then I worked a job that I hated. I was waitressing, and I absolutely hated my job. I worked with a whole bunch of immature people, disrespectful people, people that would literally go behind you and steal your tips off your table. And you're working on your feet, 12 hours, and you're wondering why none of your tables tipped. And it's because your coworkers were stealing your tips, So I was really at like my rock bottom. So relationship wise, miserable. Financially miserable, and then my own mental health and physical health was suffering. I was at the heaviest that I had ever been, and I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. I didn't even like to look in the mirror. I didn't like my face. I didn't like my body, and I was depressed. So yeah, I was pretty low. Yeah, pretty low. And so I finally found a perfect audition, is what I like to say. When you read a role and you're like, that's me.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's the real me. That's like, they're not the actress, but me. And so I applied to this thing that I have found, and it said that they wanted a plus size dancer. And I was like, I'm plus size. I can hold a beat. I'm not the best dancer, but I like to dance. And so I submitted myself. And I got a callback audition. And I was like, okay. And then I got a second callback audition. And I was like,
There it
all
is. There you
right.
go.
Yeah. So I went to it, and the first callback was, self submission, recording yourself on tape and submitted it to them. And then the second one was actually in person. And I didn't know that I was coming down with a code at that time. This was like 2016. And I was coming down with a code, and I didn't know. And I had these, they sell these little sticks at the 99-cent store. They're called like Vicks inhalers.
Oh
And you
yeah.
literally put them
Oh
up your
yeah.
nose, and they
Mm-hmm.
try to open up that sinus cavity. And I feel like when you do that, you need to just be like at home resting,
Yeah.
not trying to do like a dance routine, because I almost fell out. But I pushed myself through that audition, and they had no idea that I was coming down with like a horrible cold. Did the audition. Yeah, come to find out, I booked it, and I was like so ecstatic. And literally was the turning point for me, because I had booked a program called UB2 with Beachbody. And I didn't realize, like, when I was auditioning for this plus size dancer, I had no idea how huge the company was that I was auditioning for, because it wasn't listed in the audition. So it was like pretty much like a blessing from God. I know, like, some people don't believe
Oh.
in God, but the higher power, it
Mm-hmm.
really was like a door opening for me in so many ways, So there I was, working out with women that look like me, different backgrounds, different nationalities, all considered plus size, all considered overweight. And that just really changed the game for me.
That's incredible. And that was your jumping off point.
That was my jumping off point. And now, I wasn't trying to lose weight, because like I said, they wanted women that were overweight.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even though I was
It
like,
worked for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
right. It was like,
That's
that's
awesome.
me. um, I didn't realize, like, I knew I was unhappy with my weight, because before I had got casted in that, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, short phrase PCOS. And I was gaining weight rapidly. And so I honestly thought, like, I'm not gonna be able to lose weight, like, this is pretty much what it is. It's in my genes, blah, blah, blah. I had every excuse. So I kind of accepted it, even though I was still unhappy. Like, I could feel the excess weight just doing normal things, like walking to the bus stop, or like, I live in New York City, so we walk a lot. And it was just very tiring. I live on a 4th floor walk up. I'm on the 4th floor. Well, there's 5 floors. I'm on the 4th floor. I would get upstairs, and I would just fall into my couch, like out of breath, tired, and it was just annoying. It was annoying, So I wasn't trying to lose weight, but I enjoyed the activity in the community. And I didn't realize like that's what I was missing in my life. I feel like you said, you and I are like old friends, But when you reach a certain age, when you get like in your 30s, I feel like it's hard to make genuine friendship at that age. When you're younger, it's easy. Everyone's trying to fit in. It's easier to connect with people. And now that we have COVID, it's even more hard to connect
impossible.
with someone.
Listen, Dee Dee, it's never been easy for me. Never.
No, and you had a lot of friends.
I didn't realize until years later that everybody in high school knew my name. I thought, I was always that nerd. I was on a completely different wavelength, and I was in my own little space. And I got picked on so much, and I never realized how popular. I don't know if I was popular necessarily. I mean, there were at CHS, we for sure had a very pop culture click system. There were the and the theater kids points itself, and the jocks, and then of course we had there was the production of Grease, where they threw everybody.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Oh my God.
Because all of a sudden the jocks were the actors.
That's right.
There were hardly no real actors as you and I, and chorus people in that musical. Yep. I refused to do it. Yeah. I was just like, what is this?
Yeah. I probably should have refused to do it, but I was too much of a theater kid to not want to do it. And of course, I ended up playing Eugene, and I wanted to play Danny Zuko. And you know what? I sang every one of those, every one of the leads under the table. And backstage, I was singing all the songs as Danny, and they were like, "Oh man, maybe he should have been Danny." And I was like, "Right, damn right."
Yeah. I will not ever. I always wonder. We come from a little hick town. I'm sure your viewers know, like, if you run the red light or a stop sign, your name's in the paper. Like,
that's right.
Oh, Darlene ran the stop sign at 12 midnight on Saturday. Like the whole information is in there. And so I can't help but to wonder, like, who was behind that casting those people. I still wonder, like, did they buy that? Like, it was just so far-fetched from anything we've ever done as a theater community to cast all those type of people in those roles who never have been in a play before. I feel like there was something else going on.
Well, there was. That had to do with the football team. It always has to do with the sports, right? Wow. And of course, Dee is the one. She's the queen of the stage, right? And that was all a deal between them to get all of the football fans into the seats in the theater.
Oh my God.
Worked.
How did you find out about that, and when did you find out about that?
Well, I mean, I'm a sneaky little devil when it's just, I just know how the politics of the high school worked and how they've always worked. We've been the Orphans held the winningest basketball team in America for, I don't know, 11 or 12 years or something, totally insane. So and the basketball team or the football team was always moving things around and taking budget from all of the other arts departments, and it was pretty ridiculous. I heard Dee talking a lot too, because I was a lonely little nerd, and I was all I was always hanging out with Dee because I needed an adult figure in my life that was like what I thought was stable, and she was the opposite of that. But I didn't find that out until 15 years later too, because my parents were always at each other. They were always at each other's throats. Um, they got divorced in '96, and I was relieved when it happened. But up until the divorce, and then right after the divorce, because my mom got involved with this total asshole. That's a whole other podcast. But she I love my mom to death. She has terrible taste in men, and I got to say that includes my dad, because not that he's a terrible person, but they shouldn't have ever been together.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I came from that, and I'm
Yeah, you were the blessing from
very
that
proud that
disaster.
I'm ecstatic that
There's always a silver lining.
that's I'm the silver lining from that. But they were awful together, and so I found every single thing I can that I could to have some sort of stability, some sort of peace in my childhood. And I practiced escapism on every level. I mean, I was going to I was in the theater, in the choir, and all of those things, and the computer club, because I'm that level of nerd. And I was going to the movie theater as much as possible, and just anyway.
Did you go on the was it Disney World? Did you go on that trip
I
to
did.
Florida?
Yep.
Okay. That
Oh
was
yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
I
Those were some of the
won
best times.
I won two firsts at that Disney World uh, expedition.
I don't even remember us performing there. I just remember us getting on the ride.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Cool. That's great.
Oh yeah.
You were a tenor?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And back then, a countertenor on good days.
Okay.
I'm still a countertenor on very good days, but I rarely have those anymore. Dee Dee, I thought I was headed to Broadway for the longest time. I really did. I
Oh,
thought
I remember we
my,
both went to auditions
Mhm.
together in St. Louis.
That's right. We, in fact,
Do you still sing?
I mean, I try to. I,
Okay.
I mean, I I rarely get the opportunity anymore. That's not true. There are singing. There's The Voice and AGT
Mhm.
and stuff, which I have auditioned for before. Never went anywhere. But otherwise than that, LA doesn't really lend itself very well to. There's theater going on all over the place.
Mhm.
There are technically opportunities not pending with the pandemic. That's
Right.
everything is outside of that. There are lots of theater productions, but so many of them are 99 seat situations where
Mhm.
you're barely getting paid anything, and it's really about the experience of being a part of that production. And my my heart beats to the theater. That's where I got
Mhm.
started. That's where my my origin and my original lifeblood comes from, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But I can't make any money doing it here, none at all. That
Yeah.
I've got to be where you are in New York to do that. And I get too cold in the winter, so I can't live there. It's
It is very cold here. I think it's 34 degrees here today. Yeah.
so um yeah, I mean I do, but I don't really get a chance most of
Maybe you should start opening up your podcast with
the
you singing
time.
or ending it with you singing your favorite song or something, throwing it in there every now and then. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a new theme song. Maybe I should just sing it myself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you have your own show, so why not?
And you are a beautiful singer, which
Oh.
which is not only true, but it's an awesome transition to take us into your acting career, which is pretty freaking amazing because you got to sing on Orange is the New Black.
Yes. Okay. So this was when, okay. So this is also as I was gaining weight. So this, I love being on Orange is the New Black. I was on that show in 2014. And like I said, I carried that weight from like, I want to say 2000 and, well, I was big because I remember the roles specifically saying that they wanted someone that was like 300 pounds. Like they wanted a plus size person. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't quite, 300 pounds. My heaviest was 250 pounds on 5'4". After Orange is the New Black, I evicted the 85 pounds, But back then I wasn't quite 250 yet, but I was up there like 225, 230. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, I'm not 300 pounds. I don't know if I'm going to get it, But I got the script and I studied that script so hard. Like I would have conversations with myself and I would answer out loud in the verbiage of the script. At the time I had a boyfriend, and when he would talk to me, I would answer him as if I was already cast and I was the character of this script. I really was like so far in, and it paid off because I had the audition and the girl says, okay, clearly you're this character, Joyce. Let's go to the next scene. And I had not ever had an audition where the casting person or director or associate, whatever, says something that confirmative, like that's like, whoa,
It never happens.
Yeah.
So miracle. That's incredible.
I walked out of there feeling pretty good, Yeah. And then when I found out that I got it, I literally just jumped up and down like a child on top of my bed. I was just jumping up and down like, oh my gosh, I got this. I got it. I can't believe it. And it was pretty amazing. I end up, filming with Jodie Foster. She's the one who directed that.
Oh my God, that's right. Jodie Foster directed that episode. Oh my God.
Yeah. Listen, I didn't even recognize her because I'm used to seeing Jodie, with her bob hair and her makeup on. Right. And she was just like straight up laid back because that whole script is laid back. I didn't even have any makeup on in that scene. I was barefaced. All I had was chapstick.
Oh, wow.
So she came in here laid out too. Her hair was pulled back. She had on a little cap. She had on like little, just regular jeans and a shirt. I didn't even recognize her. So finally somebody's like, that's Jodie, right? I'm like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, and she was really nice. She was really, really nice.
That's so great to hear.
Yeah.
And
it was awesome.
I mean, you got to play in that world in that huge show. And that year, because that was season 2, right?
Yeah, season 2.
You did that. And that show, it was an absolute fireball. That show, it was, because that's Netflix's first original series, right? It's one of their longest running original series. And that first year they were trying to find their footing. Everybody enjoyed it, but
it was a great first season. Second season was off the chain.
Because that entire break, everybody was talking about, oh, I can't wait to see what happens on that show. And they were, everybody was just on fire about all of the characters. So you were in the prime, just essence of that show. How amazing to be. And when you told me, you always do this, which drives me crazy. You are so humble. It's one of you're just so humble about everything. And I know it's because you're so thankful and you have next to no ego, and it's so beautiful. But you told, like, I found out, I don't think you told me. I think I just found out.
I probably didn't tell you. I didn't tell very many people.
Because you're terrible with social media, or you're a lot better now.
Yeah, I used to be
Especially
horrible.
with the Facebook Lives. You're much better now. But then you had next to no, like zero social media presence.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? I mean, I went totally, I'm still so happy for you. And so
Oh, thank you.
it's just incredible. Um, and then from there, oh, wait. Also, and I know we've talked about this before, but you didn't really you essentially got that yourself, right? Because,
No, so that one actually was through my agent.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because so much of your work, you
Yeah,
yourself,
it's true.
even though you
It's true.
have representation,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunately the case for so much
Yeah.
with acting. Okay, so your agent did get it for you, but, and I find this super interesting and highly upsetting. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you were there, and I'm upset for you, but it upsets me that you are a guest star in that episode. You are a guest star because you are in 3 scenes. It's 3 scenes, right?
I don't remember how many scenes.
It's at least 3, maybe 4 scenes in that episode. You're part of the overall arc of the episode. You're part of what propels the storyline of that episode, right? You
Mm-hmm.
were a guest star, but you were credited as a co-star,
Uh-huh.
right? And I remember you telling me, like, you got paid a decent amount, but probably not nearly as much as you should have been paid.
Let me tell you.
Tell me all about it. I want to hear the
So,
whole thing.
so it did pay a nice penny. But the thing about it is, and this is with, I'm sure you get this too. When you have, at the time, I only had an agent. Thank goodness, because if I had a manager and an agent,
Right out the window.
so what actors don't realize is when you sign a contract with the agent and you sign a contract with, well, we won't even talk about the manager right now because back then I didn't have a manager. I just had an agent. So uh, you make decent money. You can make decent money. The more money you make, the more money they gonna take. Okay,
Every time. Yep.
so first off, it's like New York City has to get its taxes out first. Okay. So you're paying state tax and city tax. And I don't know what it is about actors in New York, but they tax the hell out of your check. So they take their portion. And then, you're paying into, all the other type of things, your insurance and all that other type of things. And then your management comes in and they take their cut. Usually a manager, or I'm sorry, an agency comes in. It's usually either 10% or 15%. It should not be more than that. If it is, they gouge you. So then they come in and take their cut, and they take their cut off of what the check was before the taxes were taken
The
out.
gross, not the net.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And then you're left with whatever's left. Mm-hmm. So it was, it was a decent pay, but after everybody took their cut, it was like, damn.
You couldn't pay rent with it.
And that's with anything you do. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if you do like background work and you might think, oh, I had a really good day, hopefully you don't have a manager or agent that would take out of your background check. But I know management agencies that if once you make over $200, they got their hand out for their cut. And it's like, okay, well, we just paid taxes, city tax, state tax, all the little, the little things that come out. And then I got to get you some, like, okay, then what am I left with? Enough to do laundry?
Right. Get a couple packs of quarters and that's
right.
That's
yeah. And then if you have a manager, your manager is taking 15%, your agent is taking 10% or 15%, depending on what you sign, plus the taxes. So it's like, you want to get a job that, you make a couple thousand or more, because if not, you're like almost working just to build your portfolio versus working to build your portfolio and also to make some income by being a working actor, which is why when they say, oh, you gonna be an actor, how many jobs you gonna have? Because better believe I was an actor and had 3
Right.
jobs at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. We all have to. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm I'm sort of a vigilante on that end of it, because I've gone through, I don't know how many agents and managers and various reps over the years. And anytime I did background or any extracurricular activity, anything that didn't go through them, they didn't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
I've and that's
I get it. I mean, you have to pay. It's like they're not paying your rent. They're not paying
hell
your health
no,
insurance. They're not
hell
putting
no, they are
clothes
not.
on your back, food on your table.
No.
You know what I mean? So I understand it 100%. I understand it. I really, and I kind of, that's the part of the thing. Like I'm with the new management now, and I still like don't understand this part of it. And one of my actor associates was like, that's just the way it is. And I was like, and it shouldn't be like that. If you had no hand in booking me, the agent didn't have any hand in booking me, you didn't have a hand in booking me, I shouldn't have to pay you. Like I really shouldn't. It should not be like that. I mean, well, damn, I could just say I know you. Can I get a fee?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel
Throw
like
me a
it shouldn't
bone.
be like that. They need to redo that. But all managers and all agencies go back, go that way. Like,
Yeah.
I booked this job, you didn't have nothing to do with it, but I'm going to go ahead and give you
It's
the
a
hookup
really
and sign you on so you can get some money from it,
Yeah, it's a really archaic system, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that need to change across the board. And I've gone around a number of times with SAG-AFTRA too, SAG and AFTRA and SAG-AFTRA,
Yeah.
before I joined, after I joined, because there's been a couple times that both on Nickelodeon shows, and I probably, maybe Nickelodeon, I don't know, I still would like them to hire me, but I've had a lot of trouble because I worked on Henry Danger, and that was also
I remember that.
2014, I think, when I did that. And one of the coolest gigs that I have ever done, just one of the coolest sets I've ever been on. It was a great environment. I got, I've showed you those pictures, I know, where
I remember them. Yeah.
the Beast guy, and they gave me the full treatment with all the special effects and the wig and all the things. And that, in the way that the after contract that I was on works out, and I don't want to bore my listeners to, fleeing to another country, but essentially the way it worked out is that on that after contract, that appearance counted as what they call an under 5, right?
Okay.
So it was a principal role, but not. This is sort of falls in this gray area, but it is it's in such a way, the contract is set up so that if you have like certain interactions with the principal cast, depending on how your arc, it's a whole thing, but you get residuals on it. So I had no idea what that was. I had never heard of it. I didn't know that I was on it, and I didn't find out until a couple years later, when I was on another Nickelodeon show called Nicky, Ricky, Dicky, and Dawn, which took me forever to say in one breath, where I essentially played a Taylor Swift lookalike, if you can believe it. I'll send you pictures later. It's pretty hilarious. But
I want to see them.
while I was on set, one of the PAs, the background PA, was, she sort of whispered in my ear, because she's a good person, and she's like, I think you just scored it under 5. You need to make sure that you inform all the necessary parties and fill out the paperwork and all that. I was like, oh, thank you. So then I went back and figured out that I'd actually gotten an under 5 on Henry Danger, that because they didn't want to pay me, no one ever told me. And then
oh my God,
up with SAG and say, well, I have all of this evidence. And they got back to me and essentially said, yes, you're right. Unfortunately, the statute of limitations has already passed, and you can't You can't
What's
claim.
the statute of limitations on that? And
I
that's
think
absolutely
I think it's
horrible.
like I think you have to claim it within 6 months of the actual shooting of it. And you can claim the under five whether or not the footage actually makes it on screen, but you have to claim it. You have to go through. Uh,
Oh, wow.
fill
I
out.
am so sorry that
It's a
happened to
whole,
you.
well, you know,
That is just, and I don't understand that
that's how it
because
goes.
there's so much money in film and TV. There's so much to
Yep.
pay an under five role is like nothing. It really is. You know what I mean? It's like how some people like to some people $100 equals $10. You know what I mean? Like 100 is
Mhm.
nothing, and to some people 100 is 100. You know what I mean? It's like it's nothing for them to pay you that. So I don't understand why they did you that way. It was uncalled for, and I wish they could back pay it. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
These are just one of hundreds of stories
Yeah.
that I know we both have.
Yeah.
Now, you also have come out here to LA a couple times,
Hmm.
including
Hmm.
to work on Hot Bench. Tell me a little bit about
Ooh, that was a hot mess. If it had not been for you, my trip would have been absolutely horrible.
fun. How's it?
Because I think what people don't realize, and I never realized this either, back in the day when court TV was so huge, Judge Judy and the other judges, but she sticks out in my mind. She's
Those other ones over there.
forever. I used to watch those court shows with my grandmother, and sometimes we would, be at school, and during our break in college, we would go to like the green room or whatever and watch some court TV or what was the other one? Jerry Springer.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So the thing that people don't realize is that these are actually real cases. So they're real cases and they're real people. The people that are like the defendant and the prosecutor, they're real. Like they're not acting. This actually happened to them. Now, the people in the background sitting, in the gallery, those are the actors. And so I didn't realize that it was that type of thing when I went out there for it. Okay. I literally was having a real problem with a roommate from hell. Literally, I believe she was sent back from hell to cause drama. She was
I
absolutely
remember.
batshit
I
crazy. This
remember when you
lady
were going
was
through that. It was nuts.
off the chain, out of her mind. And so, anyway, basically what happened is that she stuck me with 6 months of unpaid rent on her end, and I didn't even know she wasn't paying her rent until she moved out. And she didn't let me know she was moving out. She didn't give me no notice. Like I said, she didn't finish out the lease. I just happened to come home one day from work and saw her in a customer from our job at the time, because I worked at Trader Joe's. So a customer that used to flirt with me was helping her move out. It was the
No.
strangest thing. Well, anyway, she left all this rent, and I was like, how am I gonna pay this rent? Because, like, we both live in places where rent is just outrageously high for no reason. Like, it's just no reason we should be paying house notes for rooms. You know what I mean?
I'm telling you. Yep.
Oh, apparently New York gets bombarded with lots of cases like this, renters and all this craziness, small cases, small claim court cases. And I got this letter in the mail saying, hey, why don't we send your case to this show, Hot Bench, and if you win, we'll give you the money that you're filing for, and if you don't, we'll still give you a little money, but we fly you out there, we give you a free hotel, whatever. And I went out there just knowing I was gonna get my money because I had all the proof in around. But really, it was like, even though they're real cases, I don't think they take them very seriously. I think what they do is they look at the case, but then they also look at how we can turn this into like some drama TV. It's all about the money on their end and about the ratings. And it was a new show. And they literally tell you, so like when you see people acting a fool on TV, trust and believe they didn't really want to act such a fool. You know what I mean? You have the assistants, telling you like, Okay,
prompting
so
you.
we believe your story. Go really big with it, like really get into it. Put your
Yeah,
all, do extra. It's okay, you know. So you go on there and you act like a plum fool. You are just straight ratchet. You know, you're being more ratchet than you normally would be because they want you to be, and they're paying
right.
you to be. And so it was a hot mess. But yo, I look so beautiful on TV.
Yeah, you looked
I
great.
know, but I look fly as hell. Oh man, and it was a bummer. It was a bummer not to win the case. But like I said, the highlight for real, and I still remember this dearly, was you picking me up after like I was so in disbelief that I didn't win. And then I realized this was all a TV show for them. It really
Yeah,
wasn't about the case.
yeah.
And then you cheered me up with like the best tomato soup I have still had in my life. This
Listen,
place needs to market the soup and
Didi,
ship
I
it.
have changed so many lives with that tomato biscuit. I so wish that I could take responsibility for it. All of the props go to Yard House. Yard House, I would love to have you sponsor the podcast and
Okay.
give me and Didi free tomato bisque for the rest
Yes.
of our lives because
Yes.
it's
Uh,
better than gold. I mean, it's liquid ambrosia. Seriously,
I had no idea how
absolutely.
good it would be, or I would have ordered
I mean,
way more.
listeners, if you can get to Yard House wherever you are and try their tomato bisque, trust me, you will not be disappointed.
Yes.
Um, you have done so many uh, just super cool and totally insane things. You worked on this Adult Swim show called Mostly for Millennials.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear that story. You've told me a little bit about it before, but and I know you were only on screen for like 20 seconds, but that show is it's totally nuts. It's like so many of the Adult Swim shows, totally off the wall, completely. I mean, did you come out here? Well, I guess you would have had to. How did
No,
that?
that was shot in New York.
Oh, it was shot in New York.
It
Oh,
was shot in New York and Brooklyn, I believe.
really?
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny. They do a lot of stuff here, and then it looks like it was done there. You know, like for instance, when I did Orange is the New Black, it was taking place in Chicago. And people are like, oh, you were in Chicago? I'm like, no, that was like in Long
Yeah.
Island. Yeah, yeah. So it was shot here in Brooklyn. It was really nice. You know, I think I probably was there for like maybe around, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours, you know, but like you said, like it's amazing how many hours you spend on set, but the show wraps up like that. You know, I was only on there for 7 seconds, but I probably was on stage for an hour and a half to 2 hours, you know.
Right.
So it was
Hurry
really
up and wait.
fun.
Always the name of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun. That was my first time, I think. Yeah, I think that was my first time having like a co-star that was a child actor. I like that. I like being able to play a mom role. I think that's so cool because I don't have any kids. I have my fur baby who's like a permanent 2-year-old, but but I got to act with this little boy and he was a great, you know, co-star and it was fun. It was just fun. That was just a way to, you know, I think to act crazy because that's what that show is. It's just a lot of craziness and ratchetness, and it's like those are one of the jobs where you're like, I get paid to act the fool. This is great.
I'm super jealous that you got to work on that show. Honestly, like all those Adult Swim shows are totally nuts, and like that's that's sort of where I float in the comedy sphere. I love to just let it go absolutely wild. I'd love to work on the Eric Andre show too. Have you seen his show?
No.
It is bonkers. It's absolute bonkers. It's like
Oh
a
my
talk
gosh.
show, but not really. It's a
Uh-huh.
talk show if that Mostly for Millennials was a talk show.
Okay.
He's like crashing through pieces of set and he has these guests on and it's sort of like excuse me. It's sort of like it's kind of like Punked. Whenever
Mhm.
they're on the show, they have no idea what's going to happen. There's things dropping out of the ceiling, things exploding, pies flying,
Oh my
absolute
gosh.
ridiculousness. I think it would be an absolute blast to
I could see you doing
do
something
something.
like that. You'd be great on there.
I also want to talk about The Path, which is
Okay.
another one of those projects that I literally just found out that you were a part of. I was randomly scanning your IMDb, and maybe I knew that, maybe I did know that you did it. It's probably popped up somewhere else, and I totally forgot. But I definitely didn't remember, and I saw that I was like, "What? You were? How is that?" And then I had to go and watch your episodes so I could see you, and those again, those brief moments that you're on screen are so powerful. Like, you have this you just have this power that just grabs the viewer across the screen, and you know it's really palpable and so incredible. And tell me, how did you get involved with that, and how was the set, and did you get to meet Aaron Paul? Tell me all.
So, okay. That I also got through my agent, but I had been, so I was doing background work, which agents and managers
They,
frown upon.
yeah,
Okay. They frown upon
frown
it, but
upon. It's a
they
bold
frown because the
understatement.
thing is like it can go two ways. It can be like, oh, she was in background on this, this show, or she was featured background. How are we going to put her, as a speaking role? Then there's a slight chance that it could go the other way. Like, oh, she's been core background on this show. We like her. We see how she is around other actors. We feel her vibe. We love her hair. Cause everyone knows I have like solid silver, like, gray hair. And at that time I had these locks, faux locks going on, and they were pretty cool. And so I hadn't been I wasn't being sent out regularly for auditions. And I was like I said, I was working 3 jobs, and I was like, I need this work. So I applied for core background on The Path, which is on Hulu. And the set was great. The people that I worked with, background actors and leading, cast, great people. Everything was good. We were out there. There's actually a couple of shows, and I can't remember their names off the top of my head. But when I see them, I'm like, oh, they're filming out there in upstate New York, because it's like where we were filming, where it was two different places. One was like kind of like a castle. So there's a lot of shows that are filmed in New York, and it looks like they're at a castle. It's in the same place, upstate New York, about an hour and a half out of the city of Manhattan. And then there was another place that looked like a straight up compound. And it was like this is an area where you can go camping, and you see wild deer and all this other type of stuff. And that's also upstate New York as well. So this was all still in New York, but out of the city. Out of the city. And so I have been working, like I said, core background on this show. And I got an audition for this lady, and I was just like, I'm surprised they called me in. I know they had to know who I was. You know what I mean? I know they had to know. And that's why, like, I understand what agents and managers are saying about not working background, but I also know a lot of people who have gotten their start through background acting. And somebody just said, the casting director said, oh, let's give them some lines, or let's give them their first waiver, because they have such a great attitude throughout all this and everything. And I honestly got my first waiver through background acting. But once I booked Orange is the New Black, I was like an automatic join. It didn't, the waivers didn't matter.
Right.
But so this happened to me, and I just thought, okay, I'm just gonna go in there and do it. You know what I'm saying? So I got the audition through my agent. I went in there and I booked it, and I let them know later. I said, FYI, I've been working core background on this, just so you know, and I actually went in there and booked this. So it can go either way. You know, it really can go either way. And I still, you know, get background notices and I look at the jobs and I'm like, do I really want to do this? Because I can see myself as a speaking character on this show and I won't do it. But then there's other times where I'm like, you know, it just depends on where you are in your life. And right now, I mean, I lost 2 sources of income with this pandemic. So there are sometimes I look at it and I'm like, let me go submit myself. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do it. You know, I also have to think about my little fur baby, Joey. You know, he can't be by himself for 12 hours, you know, so I have to think, is it worth it? Right. You never know how long you're going to be on set with these things, you know, but I mean, hey, if you got to make some money and you know, and you are an actor, background acting is not a bad thing. It can be very lucrative. And 9 times out of 10, you're not paying anyone else your money besides the taxes, you know. So but that's how I got it.
that is so incredible. I'm so glad that they decided to do that and they upgraded you. And
you know what I was told now, if I really, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember, you know, because like that show, I think it was only on the air for 3 years. Was it 3 years they did 3 seasons? 3 or 2 seasons, because they took it off the I mean, it's still on Hulu, but they ended the season where it really should have went on for another season, but they discontinued the show. But I do remember someone saying they like to promote within. You don't get a lot of shows like that, that, you know, they have a large ensemble cast, because that was a large cast when it came to the background. Usually when you're a featured background artist, you are part of the SAG after union. You're usually not non-union. So I do remember someone saying like this production likes to promote within, whether that's being on the crew, being bumped up to something more than just saying take 5, you know what I mean? Right. Not saying that that's not important. All the jobs are important, but you don't get a lot of shows like that. Like I always tend to think about Adam Sandler. Like he took his people with him. That's and right. Every single thing he made, he brought them along, because it was like, there's room for all of us. We all want to do the same thing. I can find a role for you. I can find a job for you. And that's what I wish like it was about. You know what I mean? I always think of him and like, he really did pay it. He paid it back and forward. and you know, yeah.
I absolutely agree. I and that is something that I definitely want to do with my career. You know, as soon as I start bringing in the big bucks, I want to bring, you know, I want you and everything that I do. I want to bring my friend Joe Hammerstone from St. Louis and everything I do, because we've worked on, you know, 12, 13 different independent films, and
wow,
that is such a, you know,
be great. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, I'm grateful for everything that I've been able to do, all of the little tiny things, and I've done some really weird stuff, but I'm proud of all of it. And that's so incredible that you got to do that. You know, I wonder if I shot myself in the foot with The Big Bang Theory, because you know, of anybody that wasn't on that show that should have been on that show, right here.
Yeah, you definitely would have fit in
right here.
Yeah.
Because I worked background on 4 different episodes.
Oh wow.
Which was thanks to central casting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there were a couple agents that got me on the various. I think it was the same agent that got me on the 3 episodes, and one other one that got me on the 4th. But working on a show of that level,
mm-hmm.
and a show that's taped live.
Oh, that's taped live?
Taped live.
That's so fun.
It's just like doing theater. It was just like being on stage. You get that instant gratification, everyone's clapping, everyone's going nuts, and if they don't, they're prompted to do so, so they have to.
That is so cool.
And you know, every single one of those guys is just a master. I mean, Jim Parsons, you know, you like so many actors, like so many great actors, you don't see half of what he can do on screen. I mean, you know, he won a number of Emmys doing the show, and let me tell you, he deserved every one of them because watching him on set do his thing was absolutely mind-blowing. And everyone on that set, you know, Melissa Rauch, Mayim Bialik, um, they're all impressively talented. And those 4 times that I did background were some of the coolest background that I've ever done. I was on a set that was a boat. I was in a scene with James Earl Jones, who I could hear, like I was seated sort of in front of him, so I could hear him talking in the back. That's not even close to a James Earl Jones. I can't do his voice, but you know, I've had a lot of great adventures doing background and made a lot of decent money, you know, doing it.
So
So,
wait a minute. What did you mean when you say you think you shot yourself in the foot, though?
well, you were saying that just as you were pointing out that so many reps really don't like it, and casting sometimes won't consider you for a speaking role if they've seen you too many times in background. I wonder if I shot myself in the foot working background on that show so many times.
Oh.
Let me tell you, Dee Dee, I did some I tried every which way how to get on that show. I found the direct contact email to the casting director. I reached out to them. I was I had someone who was sending emails on my behalf, not my actual rep, but someone who would actually do the things that my rep was supposed to do and was like sending emails for me. I sent my hard copy resume. I did everything I could
You wanted that
do.
show.
And I mean, the crew, after about the 3rd episode that I appeared on, you know, they knew who I was. Like I saw
Right.
the same PAs and the same, you know, I saw the
Mhm.
same people. And, you know, I don't know. That was one that I'm really disappointed I never got to work on in a bigger capacity. That and How I Met Your Mother. I wanted to work on that so bad.
Yeah.
But, you know, you got to take the opportunities when they're presented, and you know,
Well,
uh,
you did work it, just not in the capacity that you wanted to, but you did get to work it. And hey, you worked
oh
for a
yeah,
live audience. That's pretty cool.
it was so cool. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
Hold on, I'm coming back. Let me
oh,
plug my phone up. Oh my gosh, let me plug my phone in. Okay, let me. Trying to see how close I can get. Okay, hold on.
that's
Okay.
okay. No worries. Technical difficulties happen all the time.
I know. Okay, I got you in
You
there.
got it all
Oh,
together.
now I'm sliding down. Hold
Darling,
on, let
the
me move my
electric
camera
slide.
over. Okay. It's like
There you
coming
go.
out of the frame. Let me just move myself all the way over.
You know, it's so much fun, Dee Dee. You know, we're all our own worst critics, and we all harp on each other about like, you know, I'm such a perfectionist, and I want everything to go uh, as right as it can, and for the audio to record clearly and all that stuff. But things always happen,
I
and you know, I absorb I don't know how many hours of podcasts every week.
know. Mm-hmm.
It gives me so much joy for technical difficulties to go wrong on the biggest.
Yeah.
And I've heard them happen on every single one of the you know, Conan's podcast has mess ups. I listen to Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard. sometimes he has audio glitches. I was listening to one of his newest episodes yesterday, and there was this whole patch of about 10 minutes where it sounded like it was coming from over here. And I was,
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh.
and I was like, I was delighted. I was overjoyed because I was like, this happens to everyone. Like
Right.
nobody gets nobody gets a pass. Sometimes
Right.
you just can't cut things out. And
I know. I kept wondering, like, I wonder if you can hear the construction going on outside or my
um,
dog in there licking himself.
yeah, dude. I'm sure about my construction. Ew.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing after another thing after another thing, and I get a day or two of peace, and then something else starts a block down, and I just want to cover my head with a pillow, and
I know.
you know,
It's horrible. It
oh
is.
man,
At least you don't have like horrible neighbors. I have very loud neighbors
oh no,
that like if it's not the construction waking me up, it's them. And I promise it's like they're like wrestling or bowling, like something. It's like they're jumping like boom, and then you hear like like it's just
oh,
ridiculous. It's like, okay, do you not realize there's people underneath you? Like, hello, like it's horrible. I
uh,
hate that the like I don't feel like the walls are thin, but they are because like if my
right.
neighbors have their TV really amped up, like they're having movie night, I can hear like the theme music.
Oh God.
You can smell what your neighbors are cooking. You're like, oh, they're frying chicken tonight.
If it's not The Rock, I don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
uh,
miss the living in the house. I do. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too. I can't wait to have a house of my own, and
Yeah.
I'm too used to the city and all of the access that I have in the city to move out to the country. My
The
dad
convenience.
lived out in the country, and
Hmm.
I hate it. That's too much solitude. I don't want that. But I want something right in the middle, right? Where it's just distanced enough from the you
Do
know,
you drive out there?
I don't drive. Well,
Okay.
I don't have a car here. I'm a licensed driver. I can
Okay.
drive.
Same.
I
Yeah.
will I will have a car. I will get a car eventually. I was real stupid when I moved out here, and I just decided to leave my car behind, and I thought I'll just take Metro. There's buses and trains there. I'll figure it out because
Hmm.
I didn't want to bother with all of the expenses involved with having my car here. It's so impossible to find any parking here most of the time. Where I live here, it's actually okay. There's plenty of parking. Had I moved here originally, it would have been okay. But I thought, I just don't want to mess with it. I'll take public transportation. Everything will be okay. Well, that was a very, very terrible decision. One of
Oh.
my worst because Metro is absolute shit. It's absolutely for the birds. When I moved out here in 2012, I'll be celebrating 9 years next month. Hooray!
That's it? 9? I thought
9 years.
you were there before I was here.
Because my soul has been living here for 20 plus years. That's why.
Okay.
But I've officially been cemented here for 9 years. And in all the trials and tribulations I've gone through, I wouldn't give any of it up because I've pulled it off.
It's part
Anyway,
of who you are now.
that's
It's your
exactly
story. Yeah.
that's exactly right. But when I moved here, Uber and Lyft didn't exist yet. They weren't
Right.
they wouldn't come around for a couple years, and it was absolute hell, Dee Dee. It was
Yeah.
absolute hell. And there were many times that I called my poor mother and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm freaking out. I had so many metro breakdowns, and like just because the system is it's it's the worst. there are all these different bus lines. They all run at different intervals. Some of them run every 10 to 15 minutes. Most of them run every half an hour. At least two major bus lines. One of them that runs right by my place runs every hour. It's almost
It's not frequent enough.
so if you
Because
got
ours are like
somewhere
every
to go,
15, every 8 to 15 minutes.
and it's just the worst. The trains are okay. The trains work fairly well most of the time, but they're always breaking down. They're always doing maintenance. They're always like holding tracks and putting two different trains on the same track, and then they're only running every 20 to 25 minutes instead of 10 to 12 or whatever it is. And it's such a mess. And there were so many times that I'd be on set and I wouldn't have a ride, and whatever bus line wouldn't be coming for a long time. I remember there was one time that I was stranded out in Sun Valley for
Oh my gosh.
hours because I couldn't convince anybody to give me a ride home, and I ended up just walking. And I did
Oh my gosh.
because my phone had died, and I think I forgot my charger, or I couldn't
Oh no.
or whatever it
That
was.
sounds
So
horrible.
there was no way to navigate myself. So, like a nomad in the desert, I picked a direction and just started walking.
Oh my
I
gosh.
walked for about 45 minutes before I got to a bus stop. And then most of them don't have, the little
The
electric
schedule.
things. There's a number that you can call, but again, my phone was dead.
Yeah.
I just stood there for what seemed like forever before a bus showed up. A bus that I had no idea if it was actually going the direction that I needed to go or not. But it was a bus, and I got on it. And let me tell you, Dee Dee, it took me right by my house.
Oh my goodness.
It took me it was like 35 stops or something.
Wow.
Right by my house. It was an outright miracle. I'll never forget it.
It was. Oh my gosh. That right there is a show. That's an episode. That is like, you should write it down and
maybe I will.
Some characters, and oh my,
you want to be in it?
Horrible.
You'll be in it, right? As long as you're in
I'll
it.
be the bus driver. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I've had transportation stories, but honestly, that sounds. And I'm so used to walking. I will walk an hour long.
Me too. Yeah.
But that right there sounds so scary. At least like we have cabs, and like we've had like yellow cabs and gypsy cabs and everything before Uber and Lyft came out. But I always got lost because my sense of direction was horrible before I moved here.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible. But that story that you just told, I mean, it sound like that alone would have made me not ever want to go do any type of work in that area again.
And that was just one story. I mean, that happened to me so many, thankfully not that particular adventure, but I had that kind of thing was happening all the time. I was always getting stranded. I was always missing the bus. And, I think the Metro was probably largely a part of why Central Casting ended up terminating me a few years later, because
they don't play that late stuff.
They don't play. And I was late a couple times, and I would always call in, like a good little boy, and let them know. But, and one time when I was living in Koreatown, I got on a bus that broke down about halfway to wherever I was going, which I believe was an audition.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So now do you Uber to all your jobs now?
Well, I mean, for the last year, I haven't gone.
Yeah, I mean, right. There was nothing to do for self-submit.
But yes, I have spent all too much money with Uber and Lyft. More
Yeah.
so with Uber. I mean, I hate them both. They're both corporate, super villains, but you got to do what you got to do and get where you
Hmm.
go. Lyft stole a bunch of money from me when I was driving with them, so I don't use them anymore. But
Oh, and see, I find Lyft to be more cost feasible than Uber.
they definitely are. Uh, but
Ah,
they
I
suck. They
understand. It's
all
the
suck.
principle for you.
They're all corporate greed mongers. But Lyft definitely screwed me because they um but actually on that note, uh after owing me money since 2016, I was a part of a class action suit
Oh,
that
wow.
uh just paid off. They just sent me an
For
email
Lyft?
a couple days ago that I got $100.
Are you
they,
serious? Was
they
this
owe
against
me
Lyft?
they owe me about 5,000. But
Wow.
I knew that I would never be able to secure a lawyer because, of course, I don't have, I need
Right.
money. I don't have money to get a lawyer. So I joined this class action suit, and it's $100 that I didn't have before. And
Hey, buy you groceries.
well, it's actually going to my storage payment because
Oh,
it's going to take care of my storage payment for the month. But you know, it's
I
wild.
can't believe that. That's well, at least you got something. I've done jobs and I've done two jobs since I've been here and not ever. One was both are acting jobs. And one was before I joined. I never got the footage from it, never got paid for it. It was one of the very first jobs that I did when I got here. I was, wet behind the ears. And the director, producer of this promised pay, never gave pay. Then I was SAG after actor in a very well-known film. And it's been almost 2 years and I still haven't been paid from it. And thank God that I am a SAG after member because I surely called up and was like, and so all the SAG people that were on this film that didn't get paid yet called up and we, got a class suit going. And it's just like, I remember non-union actors being paid on set in cash in front of us. Like,
One of
thank you,
those.
here's this. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, you on payroll because you're set.
Oh,
And like, I think it was like maybe 25 to 30 of us that never got paid from this movie. And like, we've been like, there's been this class suit going on and it's been almost 2 years. And so apparently they finally have come to some agreement of some type. And we're supposed to be getting these checks that we're still waiting on in the mail because we still haven't gotten them. But SAG after, I will give them, an okay because we pay dues to be in this
yeah.
union that
They went to
protects
bat for you.
actors. And they apparently got it under control. There's supposed to be some back pay there. We'll see whenever we get this check. But it's crazy because people think, as actors, union or non-union, that when you go out and do a job and you see it on TV or you see it in the movie theater or on what online platform,
Stacks of cash.
they automatically assume,
Right.
Like, oh, you should be able to buy everybody lunch. It's like, boo boo, I'm still waiting on that check.
You get a boat and you get a boat. Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it happens. Unfortunately, it does happen. And it can be a top show. Depending on who did the paperwork and who dropped the ball, your money could be messed up.
Drop the bomb, Dee Dee. What movie was this?
I come back and do a round two after I get my money.
Okay. Tell me off air. I want to know what it was.
All right.
It's happened to the best of us, Dee Dee, and it continues to happen no matter who you are. Weird things happen. It's so surprising. And these productions who have money bleeding out of their ears, get away with this stuff. I mean, one of the many other stories that I had to go through with SAG. Oh, what a thing that was this pilot with oh, I'm going to mess up this story completely. Well, anyway, it was a pilot for a new talk show with a guy that had directed a bunch of stuff. He's, he's very well known, and uh, it was a CBS production,
Mm-hmm.
and they had me come out, and there were a number of us there, and I was one of the ones specifically cast to ask a question. It was supposed
Uh-huh.
to look organic, but it wasn't,
Right.
because we were
Right.
plants. And I, you know, I got that smell. I got that feeling when I walked onto that set that there was trouble,
Uh-huh.
because we just walked in. There wasn't anybody like signing us in. Like there were people like making sure we, like checking IDs, but there was no like sign-in sheet. There were no vouchers, and I was like, uh-oh, I should have left, Dee Dee. As soon as I saw that there was no set PA, there was no vouchers, I should have run for the hills. I know better. I've been doing this long enough. I know better. But the thought kept ringing in my head. This is a CBS production. I'm at CBS. I'm on set.
Right. Like, how could it go wrong?
This is the, this is the, they're going to take care of us,
Right.
No, 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 no. We did the thing. I asked my question. Asked a couple questions actually to the host, and everything that, I got to do what they said I was supposed to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't hear anything. There was no vouchers going out. There was no one to ask about it.
Oh,
There was
wow.
the PA there like shuffling us into, off of the CBS lot, but there was no one to talk to. And I thought,
Mm-hmm.
oh no. And so I had to file a claim and go through all the things and make the phone calls, but SAG did go to bat for me. They ended
Oh, good.
me. How they worked it out was that they got me half of a day rate,
Oh, nice.
like as a principal or whatever for
No,
that
that's great.
specific
It worked
production.
out probably even
So
better for you.
I got like $450 or something out of it. Not bad.
Which is good, because you weren't going to get anything had you not
That-
said anything. You
being-
have to stick up for yourself.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many crazy things. So Dee Dee, what do you want to work on? If you could have carte blanche, like anything that's on or that's coming out, what do you want to work on? Who would you like to work with? Like, what kind of character would you like to play? Tell me all about that.
There's two things. I want to do like a melodrama character. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Because I am always like the comic relief, and I can still have a little bit of flair of that, but I would like more of a melodrama role. And I really would like to play on Law and Order SVU before that shit gets off the air.
Yeah, because it's been on the air for 20 plus years or something, right?
Yes, yes. And I was like, I didn't, for real talk, I thought like they were done with it. I was like, they're going to end the season. And then they came out with another season.
You're not officially a New York actor until you're on Law and Order, right?
I feel like you got to do background or something. And I'm like, I want a speaking role on this show.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Law and Order.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. I think you'd be like a great detective, like someone that they wouldn't expect, like that comes in from another precinct and, telling them how it's done. I'd love to see that so much.
We got to keep our fingers crossed and see what the universe brings us.
it's it's happening very slowly. Like
You know what? But the month is gone by so fast. We're
lightning
practically in
quick.
February. I feel like the year might go by a little faster than what we expected to. Just like when COVID hit, we were all like just on lockdown for so long. And then next thing you knew, the year was over. So I feel like this is going to be another fast year, but I feel like things could happen, whatever goals that we want to attain. I feel like they are more reachable, even though all this craziness is still going on, that we just have to be persistent and more so shift our mindsets. Like we know we work for ourselves, but we also do need those agencies and managers for these more prominent roles. Unfortunately, casting won't take you serious for something uh, that has a major, that's something that's, over five, and more. They want to go through an agent or a management, or both. And so I think we have to switch our mindset to something more positive and optimistic. Than what you and we both have been through the ringer, coming and going with this business. We've had great wins and we've had horrible losses. But at the end of the day, I'm like, we're still here.
That's right.
We're here for a reason, we're here for a reason. And the love that we have for this field, which it's a crazy field, because like I'm a health and wellness coach, as well. And I get told a lot when I'm inviting people to my wellness group. I get told no all the time. And then I'm in another, my passion is acting, and I'm being told no all the time. It's like it can really weigh on you, where you think you're not good enough. And then you have to just kind of remember, like, when I invite people to join me on the wellness journey, they're not saying no to me, they saying no to themselves. It has nothing to do with me. And then the same with the acting. It's like, you have to know that you're a decent actor. You know what I mean? Because I see people on TV that are like stars, and you're like, I'm not, like, they're not better than you. Some of them are stars because of who they know. You know what I mean? They're just in the right place at the right time, or they have connections. A lot of this business, and I found out the hard way, it is connections. It's not that you're not talented enough. It's not that you're not pretty enough. It's not that you're not thin enough or whatever. It's that you don't know the right people. And that's really what it is. It's all a networking thing. And then it's like, when you do book something, I believe it's not because of the people that I know. It really is the higher power saying, no, this is hers. This right here is hers. This right here is yours. No, they're not rich. No, they're not famous, but this is their break. This is their time. We're going to give them this. Oh, my dog has to go to the bathroom. He's looking at me like, we gotta go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you hear him making all that noise. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. Let me bring him up so he can say hi. Come here.
Oh, hi, Joey.
He's looking at me like, hello. I have him on the schedule. Say hi.
Hi, buddy. Hey. What a handsome
boy. Like, what's going on up here? Oh, he's been a hot mess lately.
Yeah.
He's been leaving me little bathroom surprises when he doesn't get his way.
Little brown kisses.
Oh my gosh, this has been great. We got to do this again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. It's always great to see you, Dee Dee. We have to work together.
Like, that'd be so awesome.
Listen, one of us has to write something.
I'm leaving that to you.
Okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write something that we can both work on, whether it's a pilot or a feature or both. We gotta do it. We've been talking about it for too long and not actually
for decades. Yes.
We gotta make it happen. Because I think the world of you. You're such a powerful person, and you always have been, and you follow your passions and you never give up, and you've done so many awesome things because of it. And we've stayed friends for all these years, and it's really amazing. So
thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your friendship. You are a good friend.
You too, Dee Dee.
All right. Love
Good
you.
meeting you, Joey.
Say bye. See you later.
See ya. Remember, you can follow me as always across all the places at Devlin Wilder. That's DEVLINWILDER. And Faux Real at Faux Real Pod. That's FAUXREALPOD. That's it for this one. See you on the next one.